Texas may seem a curious stop for a Democratic nominee with only 11 days until Election Day, but she's using the state and its strict laws on abortion as a backdrop to discuss reproductive rights and women's health, which is obviously a key theme of her campaign that she previewed earlier today.
Sadly, the elected leaders of Texas, a lot of them, have made Texas ground zero in this fundamental fight for the freedom of women to make decisions about their own body. So tonight we will be discussing the impact of that, not only to the women of Texas and their families, but to people around the country because of Trump abortion bans.
Texas, of course, is also a major focal point on the battle over immigration and border control. Yesterday and again today, the former president has been calling the United States a garbage can, and he's blaming migrants. Today, Harris responded.
It's just another example of how he really belittles our country. The President of the United States should be someone who elevates discourse and talks about the best of who we are and invests in the best of who we are. Not someone like Donald Trump who's constantly demeaning and belittling who the American people are. America deserves better.
Earlier today, when Trump was in Texas, moments before he appeared on stage, he once again tweeted threats about jailing and prosecuting American citizens that he perceives as enemies. It reads in part, "When I win, those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences." He also writes, "Please beware that this legal exposure extends to lawyers, political operatives, donors, illegal voters, and corrupt election officials. Those involved in unscrupulous behavior will be sought out, caught, and prosecuted at levels unfortunately never seen before in our country." By the way, he's also threatening the special counsel, who has not broken any law but is investigating and has filed charges against the former president.
And you have to get the killers, the murderers, and the mentally deranged. You have to get them out. And we should throw Jack Smith out with them, the mentally deranged people. Jack Smith should be considered mentally deranged, and he should be thrown out of the country.
The man who wants to be president threatening a special counsel working for the Department of Justice. No complaints from Republican leaders in the House or Senate about that. But earlier in the day, Senator Mitch McConnell and Speaker Mike Johnson warned Vice President Harris, of all people, in a statement that she is the one who needs to tone down the political rhetoric. They mentioned both assassination attempts against the former president and then wrote this, and I'm quoting, "The Democratic nominee for president of the United States has only fanned the flames beneath a boiling cauldron of political animus. Her most recent and most reckless invocations of the darkest evil of the 20th century seem to dare it to boil over." The vice president's words more closely resemble those of President Trump's second would-be assassin than her own earlier appeal to civility. Now, they are referring to the fact that Harris called the former president a fascist during our CNN town hall with her, which she only did after two top generals who once served the former president said the very same thing. The former president's former chief of staff, John Kelly, told the New York Times this week, quote, "He certainly falls into the general definition of fascist for sure." And the former president's Joint Chiefs of Staff chairman, Mark Milley, told Bob Woodward that Trump is, quote, "fascist to the core." When McConnell and Johnson did not mention, though, they are certainly aware of it, is that for quite a while, Mr. Trump has been using the term fascist against Harris and a lot of others he doesn't like.
She's a fascist. Fascist. Far left fascists. These are young, smart people that happen to be fascists. He's fascist. Fascist movement that wants to throw you in jail. Fascist. This is fascist. Fascist. They're fascists. He's surrounded by fascists. A corrupt and fascist regime.
So a lot to discuss with Republican media consultant and strategist Brad Todd, CNN contributor, and the New York Times' Lulu Garcia-Navarro, and Ashley Allison, former National Coalition's director for the Biden-Harris 2020 campaign. Ashley, how much, do you think it's wise for Harris to be devoting this day to be in Texas? Obviously, Beyonce is there. There's a lot of other people there. But the focus is going to be on abortion rights.
I do think it's important that the vice president is in Texas for a couple of reasons. First, we're just days out from this election, and that Senate race is still in play. And so part of what you do in a campaign is that you go places where you can have ripple effects. So she's doing that. She doesn't think she's going to win the state. But if we pick up that Senate seat, which was a long stretch, but now I think the race is almost tied, could really bode well for Democrats. But also, she's going to Texas. She has Beyonce. This is how campaigns work. The ripple effect that her appearance in Texas Texas will have will go into battleground states, will go into states that also have governor's races and Senate races and House races. So she's going to be in Texas, in an area where traditionally Democrats don't do extremely well, but her message will go across the country. And she said it herself. Texas is ground zero for the abortion law. People have lost their lives. They want to prosecute doctors. They want to prosecute citizens who just help women have bodily autonomy. So taking the fight to where it really starts is super important, and I think it will go and be a national message that can have ripple effects. Plus, she has the Queen Bee, so like, why not go to Beyonce's hometown? What a better message can you have?
Brad, I mean, she also did draw the former president, I guess, to Texas today as well. So are people complaining she's off the campaign trail in battleground states, he is as well, at least for this event.
I think Texas is a great place for them to campaign, and I think that Vice President Harris has a great chance tonight. You know, no state has been impacted more by this administration's failure on illegal immigration than Texas, and it's the issue that's costing her her best chance at the election right now. She trails on it by 16. She leads on a lot of issues, but immigration and the way this administration's handling it's hurting her. I think she should go to Houston tonight and declare that she understands they made a mistake and she's going to do things differently. It'd be the best thing she could do to turn the election around.
Ashley, I mean, what about the notion? I mean, it seems unlikely that that's something that she would suddenly do now with this short amount of time. But do you think that would have been something for her to do earlier? Just say, look, yeah, sure, I wish we'd put these executive orders in faster and move on.
I think what she has done is said that we have a problem with immigration that has been way before her administration. Both Democratic administrations and Republican administrations have not been able to move the ball forward. What I do think she should say tonight is that there could have been a bill to fix the problem and help the problem, and that her opponent stopped it. So, I mean, I appreciate Brad's point, and I understand why he would say that, but I think she is able to have a message about the future forward and what she would do in this administration, and not just fix the problem, but also stop the rhetoric about how immigrants are poisoning our blood, how they don't give to society. She could talk about a lot of issues that are important: the economy, immigration, abortion, and democracy, because we also know Texas is somewhat ground zero for a lot of voter suppression tactics as well. And so she could really have a comprehensive message tonight, which I think you will hear from her.
Lulu, do you think this is a missed opportunity if Vice President Harris doesn't address the issue of immigration in her speech tonight in Texas, or do you think she should stay focused on reproductive rights?
Yeah, no, I don't think she should be focusing on immigration, because I do think it is the issue that she pulls most weakly on. And I think the Democrats really have a lot of explaining to do on what has happened in terms of the surge of illegal immigration under the Biden administration. You know, most voters are constantly looking at this issue and saying, why has this happened and why didn't you do anything sooner? So it's not something that she's going to win on. She's focusing on women. That is her strongest issue. That is who she's speaking to in this election. Those are the voters, the reliable voters that are going to come out, that are going to be voting on Roe, and she should really be laser focused on them.
Ashley, in addition to equating the U.S. to a garbage can, the former president also said that towns have been, quote, invaded and conquered, and that some haven't been, quote, infected yet. I mean, do you think any disgust with that sort of language is already baked into the electorate?
I understand. Sadly, I think it is. I mean, but I just want to talk to voters for a second and to even the panelists. Like, he's calling our country garbage, which means he's calling us garbage too, because we live here. And so I don't want anybody leading me that thinks I'm trash. He talks about throwing out a U.S. citizen. That's why the vice president said he was a fascist. That's why his chief of staff said he's a fascist, because that's what dictators do. They do political exile. They run people who don't agree with them out of their country because they're a dictator and they don't believe in democracy. So I think that it's important to keep saying that, because even if Donald Trump wins, I refuse to normalize that behavior in the effort to preserve our democracy. But before the election is called, and while voters can still vote, talk about the issues, but also talk about the threat. It is constantly a yes and. I know there are still some undecided voters out there, and I think that message will resonate with them.
Brad, I mean, I guess it doesn't surprise, maybe it shouldn't surprise people, but I did find it, you know, again, to Ashley's point, it is not normal for for somebody who wants to be president of the United States to be talking about deporting a special counsel, a guy who's just assigned to this and doing his job?
Well, I mean, I don't think he doesn't mean that about Jack Smith. I mean,
What do you mean he
I
doesn't
don't-
mean that?
I
He
don't-
just-
of
he
course he
said it.
doesn't.
What do you
No,
mean?
This is the way.
Then why
This is the way
say it?
Donald. This is the way Donald Trump talks, and he doesn't mean it
That
about
doesn't
Jack
fly.
Smith.
That doesn't.
It's for
I'm sorry.
effect.
I'm
It's
so
fact, it's
sorry.
for
That doesn't
effect.
fly anymore.
And it's
Yeah,
unacceptable.
You
no,
cannot keep on saying that things
unacceptable.
that Donald Trump says don't mean anything. We know that they do. We saw in his first administration that they do. The things that he says, the things that he tweets actually become policy. We also know, by the way, I mean, if we're talking about immigration, we know there was an interview that was given by the former immigration czar, the real one for the Trump administration, Stephen Miller, who talked about expelling millions of people, creating huge camps in Texas on the border. I mean, that there are plans in place to, enact this very draconian agenda right away. And so, you can talk about rhetoric, but there are policies to back them up. This isn't just about words.